Tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
How can we improve this? How can we not have this happen anymore?
A profound crisis as a third of the province's paramedics seek treatment for mental health issues. There's concerns workplace stress is turning deadly. Plus,
people losing jobs, less income, cost of living going up.
Cans for cash, how some British Columbians are sorting and recycling to try and make ends meet. And
I climb out of the airplane while it's flying onto this rack on the top.
Sky's the limit. Aviation fans flock to Abbotsford for the return of the International Air Show.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. The union representing paramedics in BC is calling for an inquiry after 4 of its members committed suicide this year. As Amelia John reports, first responders say stress from the job is contributing to poor mental health and more resources are needed.
I can't tell you how many sleepless nights I've had.
Terry McManus was a paramedic and supervisor with BC Emergency Health Services for 32 years. He retired a year ago and is now speaking out after 4 paramedics died by suicide this year.
It's just, there's not the appropriate help. It's a bombardment of, terrible memories that you just can never lose. Once you see something, you can never unsee it.
Over the past few years, paramedics have been on the front lines of the opioid crisis, pandemic, heat dome, and wildfires. According to the union, stress from the job is contributing to an unprecedented level of mental health claims. And while support is available, people are falling through the cracks.
I think having a joint inquiry with the BC EHS and really taking a deep dive and looking at the whole thing, not to place blame, not to do anything except to how can we improve this? How can we not have this happen anymore?
Emergency Health Services says it's trying to strengthen resources for staff in crisis.
So we're working on an immediate action plan to introduce more support, more education, more tools that staff are asking for, and then working out a longer term approach as well.
EHS, the union, and former paramedics like McManus say everyone needs to work together and talk more openly to reduce the stigma surrounding mental health.
When they raise their hand and say, I need some help, it's still mocked a little bit, unfortunately, and we don't take it as seriously as we should.
Paramedics say if nothing changes, it will be harder to recruit new members to answer a growing number of emergency calls in BC, and more lives could be lost. Amelia John, CBC News, Vancouver.
This coverage can be upsetting for some. If you need help, you can reach the BC Crisis Centre 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 1-800-784-2433 or 1-800-SUICIDE. They offer help in more than 140 languages. Conservation officers are warning people to avoid an area near Squamish after a cougar attacked a mountain biker and followed him for about 20 minutes last night. The biker came across the cougar while he was cycling along Brom Ridge on the western flank of Mount Garibaldi. Officials say the man managed to scare the animal away by throwing rocks at it. The biker sustained minor injuries. It happened near a location where aggressive cougar activity led to trails being closed earlier this summer. Another flashpoint in the ongoing trade war between Canada and the U.S. to tell you about. Lumber producers across the country are expressing concern after the U.S. Commerce Department announced it will more than double duties on Canadian softwood imports.
It's slightly higher. We were expecting 34%. Now it's 35%. Every percent matters.
The combined anti-dumping and countervailing duty rate will be 35.19%. Earlier this week, Ottawa announced $1.2 billion in federal support for Canada's softwood industry. After Sonia Furstenau lost her seat in last year's provincial election, 3 people are now vying to be the leader of the BC Greens. Sunday is the deadline to sign up new members, and as Katie DeRosa reports, the leadership race comes at a time when climate issues are being eclipsed by tariffs and the economy.
It's not easy being a BC Green right now. Former leader Sonia Furstenau stepped down after losing her seat in October's election, which saw the party win its lowest vote share since 2013. 3 leadership candidates are fighting to breathe new life into the party in a political landscape largely focused on tariffs and the economy. Jonathan Kerr is a 44-year-old family doctor based in Comox, where he's also a 2-term town councillor.
I'm the only one of the 3 candidates that has been elected to government.
Emily Lowen is a climate activist with Climate Action Network Canada, a group focused on stopping fossil fuel expansion. A 24-year-old renter, she says her message on income inequality is landing with young people.
We've had 8 years under the same government, and all our major problems have gotten worse. I think it's time for new ideas and new energy.
Adam Bremner Atkins is a 23-year-old student who has run for the BC Green Party twice in the Coquitlam-Burke Mountain riding. He says he could expand the party's support beyond Vancouver Island.
Now with a MLA on the mainland and hopefully a leader from the mainland, we'll be able to really expand our footprint and be present in places where we haven't been able to yet.
All 3 have been touring the province, pitching their positions.
Clean technologies, a clean economy, creating jobs.
We need to get really serious about income inequality.
Let's use people who have these skills, who would traditionally build pipelines, and put them building renewable energy projects or new sustainable homes.
Neither of the 2 Green MLAs are running for the leadership, and whoever leads the party will not have a seat in the legislature.
The biggest challenge for the next Green leader is going to be establishing their own visibility.
Voting will take place online between September 13th and 23rd, with the winner announced September 24th. Katie DeRosa, CBC News, Victoria.
Vancouver's rodent problem appears to be surging as some pest control companies report getting more calls about rats. As Janella Hamilton explains, while the City of Vancouver does not track the local rodent population, it says rat activity often becomes more visible during warmer weather.
Not 1, not 2, and not even 3. There are about a dozen rats scurrying around this public parking space in Vancouver during the wee hours of Tuesday morning. And if it feels like you're seeing more rats in the city, you're not alone. The City of Vancouver says rat sightings are common this time of year. In a statement to CBC News, the city says rat activity often increases and becomes more visible during the warmer summer months. The city doesn't track the local rodent population, but it tracks a number of 311 calls to report them. Since 2022, the number of rat complaints made to the city have increased every year by a few hundred. So far this year, there have been nearly 900 calls about rats, compared to 2,300 last year. But there could be multiple reports for the same area. Some local pest control companies say they've been getting more reports.
Yeah, just an overall increase in calls that come to us with mice and rats being in homes. Noticeable difference.
Calls do jump at this time of year. We expect that. Obviously, there's more food available for the rodents, there's more shelter, there's water.
Frederick says that's not unusual for the Lower Mainland in the summer. What's unusual is getting 20% more calls this July compared to the same time last year. Some companies suspect the ban on second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides could be behind it. The province permanently banned the rat poison in 2023 over concerns it was inadvertently killing other wildlife like owls. In a statement to CBC News, the BC Ministry of Environment and Parks says rodent increases have been noted worldwide, including in areas where eschar use has not been restricted. They also said many factors can contribute to the rodent population growth, including more urban development, changes to the way garbage is handled, and warmer weather due to climate change, leading to longer breeding periods. Janella Hamilton, CBC News, Vancouver.
Transit workers in the Cowichan Valley voted to reject binding arbitration that would have ended a 6-month-long strike. It comes in the wake of workers rejecting a mediator's recommendations earlier this summer. The company that operates transit in the area is expressing disappointment in the vote. A statement from Transdev today says the company has acted in the spirit of good partnership. The workers' union Unifor says members are looking for competitive wages, bathroom access, and improved breaks. The Ministry of Labour says it is reviewing the situation. Hundreds of firefighters continue to tackle the Wesley Ridge fire on Vancouver Island. It's now burning an estimated 571 hectares in size.
You know, the proximity of the houses to the wildfire is still such that we're keeping a very close eye on it.
As of this morning, nearly 300 homes remain under an evacuation order and more than 350 are on evacuation alert. Darius Madavi joins us now with a first look at our weather. Darius?
Well, I wanted to start by looking at some of the temperatures that we're looking at across the south coast, because those are expected to climb over the next few days. Places like Port Alberni expecting to hit the 30s, so inland parts of Vancouver Island easily getting into the low 30s by the time we get into the weekend, which means some of those fires that we have burning, especially the Wesley Ridge fire, may start to see a little bit more activity, may start to be kicking up a little bit more smoke as well. So a few things to be watching in that regard. The other thing I wanted to highlight, we do have a rainfall warning up for a very small section of the northwest. But down here in the south, we continue to be dry and hot, which means that even as we see some precipitation in parts of the province, expect fire danger to continue to climb here.
All right. Thanks so much, Doris. We'll check in with you in a little bit.
Thank you.
As more Canadians struggle to make ends meet, some in Vancouver are collecting cans and bottles to return for cash. As Georgie Smythe explains, it's something advocates say more people are doing during these tough economic times.
Right now, I'm looking for empty bottles, refundables.
In Vancouver's alleys, Grant Killian and Francis Taban make a bit of extra money collecting drink containers.
I don't drink anymore, so the smell bugs me a lot.
Each piece is worth 10 cents when it's returned to a recycling depot.
How much would let's say a full bag of a big garbage bag full of beer cans, how much roughly would you get from that?
30 bucks.
30 bucks.
It's not a lot, but it's enough that more people here see it as a way to help make ends meet.
It's more busy every day. It used to be, you know, few guys who are either drug addicts or maybe alcoholic. Now it becomes more people losing jobs, less income, cost of living going up.
Everyone knows basic expenses are going up, but economic inequality is rising too. Canada's income gap, that's the difference in the share of disposable income between well-off and struggling households, is now the widest it's ever been.
And it's particularly has been tough on the people at the bottom of the income distribution.
They're also more likely to be affected by economic uncertainty and job losses. Turning that around would require targeted policies like better income supports, says this economist.
So we actually need a government that pays attention, well, basically to the vast majority of people who aren't rich, who are struggling with the day-to-day cost of living.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Some who collect and recycle Vancouver's trash for money say the work keeps them motivated and active, even if it's exhausting and tedious.
Look at him. He's carrying all those, and he hasn't made even $10 yet.
But at this end of the income spectrum, people have little other options.
Just an honest way of getting by, right?
The weight of getting by is a heavier load for some. Georgie Smythe, CBC News, Vancouver.
Plenty of eyes on the skies over Abbotsford this weekend as the annual International Air Show returns to the Fraser Valley. A look at the dazzling aerial performances next. It's day one of the annual Abbotsford International Air Show. The popular event attracts aviation enthusiasts from across BC to the Fraser Valley. Pinky Wong brings us a sneak peek.
We're at the Abbotsford Airport, and today is the first day of the air show, and we're going to show you what's new this year.
Mike and I are a husband and wife team. We actually met in the air show industry on a different team where he was flying and I was a wing walker.
Tell us, what is a wing walker?
So I climb out of the airplane while it's flying onto this rack on the top, while my pilot and husband flies precision aerobatics. We'll do loops, rolls, hammerheads, Cubinates, all kinds of real fun.
I think it's been more than 10 years since a wing walker was at the Abbotsford show. So we're very pleased to have the opportunity to be able to share wing walking.
I'll clip into my full body harness on the sides, ensure that's secure, and I give my pilot a thumbs up so he knows that I'm ready for him to do all of his aerobatics. I get to see all the earth below, everybody down on the ground waving. It's just incredible. The view here is amazing. If you want to be a wing walker, if you want to do anything that just seems incredible, don't take no for an answer. Absolutely chase after your dreams.
What's so special about this plane?
This is the first all-electric aircraft in Canada that is intended for commercial passenger service one day.
When can people go on this plane?
So we're targeting kind of a 2027 kind of time frame right now, depending on when they're ready.
You mentioned there is some new maneuvers this year.
Yeah, we do have a couple new maneuvers this year. One that we're really happy about, we actually stole from the Red Arrows. The Red Arrows are the Royal Air Force from England, their display team. They were here in Canada last year, and one of their moves called the Tornado we really liked, so we practiced it all winter, and we have it ready for display this weekend.
Yesterday, tennis player Victoria Mboko did the unthinkable, winning the National Bank Open in Montreal. She took out 4 Grand Slam champions on her path to victory. The win now ranks her as 24th in the world. Mira Baines hit the courts to find out how tennis players are feeling about the teen phenom.
I'm here at Kitts Beach in Vancouver, and we're getting reaction to the amazing win by Victoria Mboko at the National Bank Open in Montreal.
Surprise. Yeah, that was unbelievable because she's an 18-year-old, and I think she had to qualify to get there. That's unreal.
People have to trace back, where do these people come from? They don't plop out of the sky. They come from your neighborhood somewhere, and then when you watch their trajectory, like the same day we just honored Shea Gilgeous-Alexander at the halftime. He won the NBA MVP. He comes from Hamilton. All of us come from somewhere. We literally grew up on these courts, so our message is just give back to your community, keep going, and if you get to the top, share the wealth.
Do you think it'll help, maybe get more kids into the sport?
Well, I think it's pretty popular, but I think, yeah, and maybe the confidence to do better.
Oh, she's awesome. Big hitter, really fast, hits the ball down the middle with lots of margin. She's an up-and-comer. She's going to be top 10.
I think it gives people the idea that we should invest in facilities like this and keep them upgraded, and our taxpayer dollars should be going into it so our kids can become great players like her too.
A lot of people hitting the slopes in Whistler today. A beautiful day for riding, and more of that to come. Darius has your full provincial forecast next.
Did you hear? CBC Musical Nooners are back by popular demand. All summer long, every Wednesday at noon, join us at the CBC Outdoor Plaza for free concerts, 700 Hamilton Street. Beat the heat with some fresh tunes, good vibes, and great community. To see who's playing this week, head to cbc.ca/musicalnooners. And we'll see you Wednesdays.
On Tuesday, the U.S. Department of Health announced a $500 million cut to funding for mRNA vaccine research, sending shockwaves through the global scientific community. The mRNA vaccine technology has long been considered the next best step in treating various cancers and other diseases and was pivotal in curbing the COVID-19 pandemic. But how does this decision affect research around the globe? For that, let's bring in Peter Cullis, UBC Professor of Biochemistry and Order of Canada recipient. Peter, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Your research helped advance our understanding of mRNA technologies and in part made the COVID vaccine possible. Tell us what went through your mind when you heard about the U.S. funding cuts.
Well, really, mystification. This is one of the probably top new technologies in medicine that's come along in the last, 20 or more years. Here we have a technology that can not only make very effective vaccines very quickly, but it also is proving useful to treat cancer, for example, cardiovascular disease, rare disease. It's really a new generation of medicines that has enormous potential for curing our various ailments. So it's a complete mystery what's going on. I think for most scientists, we're just looking at this with amazement. It's incredible.
And Peter, how will the cut affect research and development?
Well, it's going to obviously affect things negatively, particularly in the U.S. With regard to the vaccines. Whether it impedes the other uses of the mRNA technology, we shall see. But in general, it serves to, I guess, for people that don't know much about vaccines and medical science, it's probably going to make them rather nervous about using these sorts of vaccines and other therapies that rely on it. So in that sense, it's very negative. Already there's enough skepticism about vaccines, which are really, by far the most effective things for preventing disease that we have in our arsenal. So that kind of engendering that kind of misunderstanding is not good at all.
And what are you hearing from your colleagues? I know you've worked your whole life probably towards having technologies and research like this. So what is the community saying?
Well, it depends on which part of the community you're in. I mean, in Canada, we're starting to see this as, maybe this is an opportunity for us to really step up our game and take advantage of things that are going on south of the border. But colleagues in the U.S. are obviously dismayed by this. I mean, for people in academic and to some extent in commercial, in company research, this is a major blow. Their funding is getting cut, so things like making the vaccines more effective, making them more last longer, getting rid of problems of storage at low temperatures, et cetera. All of those efforts are on hold. So it's it's not a good situation at all. It's part of a more general attack, it would seem, on the funding system in the U.S. for not just medicine but for other other areas of research. So this is a strange time in science where we're having to contend with what really great technology, and it's really being misnamed, misused, and increasingly misunderstood.
Peter Cullis is a professor of biochemistry at the University of British Columbia. Thank you so much for your time today, Peter.
A pleasure. Thank you.
StatsCan has released the latest jobs report for the month of July, and as Scott Peterson explains, the numbers are worse than economists were expecting.
Big disappointment. Economists were expecting job gains for July. Instead, we saw a loss of 41,000 positions. Outside of the pandemic, this is the largest loss going back about 7 years. And a lot of those positions were full-time jobs. And that's important because that is the bread and butter of the economy, people having full-time jobs. It symbolizes stability. And also, most of them were private sector jobs. And that's an important metric as well. But digging into these numbers, many younger people paid the price as well. Those between 15 and 24 years old, for example, that demographic lost 34,000 positions. Youth unemployment was up over 14%. And again, outside of the pandemic, that was the highest it's been since 2010. And any students out there looking for summer employment know the problems associated with that. We saw 10 out of 16 sectors shedding jobs for the month. Employment was down in information sectors, culture, recreation, and construction. Alberta led the decline, losing about 17,000 jobs, a lot of those in the construction industry. The Ontario jobless rate continues to tick up. That's now at 7.9%, and at that level, that's a full percentage point higher than the national unemployment rate, which is 6.9%. So this month really showed clear evidence of the destruction caused by the trade war with the U.S., particularly the aluminum, steel, and any industry associated with exports into the U.S., and also economists are now looking at the Bank of Canada with the rising unemployment rate potentially going further from the 6.9 where it is now. We're seeing now almost a 50-50 chance that the Bank of Canada will now possibly cut rates the next time it meets, and that's September 17. Scott Peterson, CBC News, Toronto.
Many people with upcoming summer travel plans are holding their breath tonight as Air Canada and the union representing thousands of flight attendants get back to the negotiating table. They could strike as early as August 16th. Anis Haydari lays out the sticking points and the options for customers.
Go Canada, go!
These students are heading to a robotics competition in South Korea. They're due to return in just over a week, but that could get complicated if thousands of Air Canada flight attendants go on strike.
So August 18, we are coming back with 40 kids and parents, they will be waiting for them. I hope those challenges could be solved.
Negotiations have now restarted between the union, CUPE, and the airline. But after a strike vote of 99.7%, the union now says flight attendants could walk off the job by August 16th, though it must give 3 days notice first. That threat has some passengers trying to rebook, which may be easier said than done.
The fact that it's the summertime, a lot of the flights are already booked up. So there's not necessarily going to be a lot of options for people.
The flight attendants want wage increases and say they need to be paid for time worked before a plane takes off. Many North American airlines don't pay for that time. Air Canada has said it's made a proposal that addresses this, though it didn't provide details. Union members say they'll demonstrate at several airports on Monday. Similar to actions airline pilots took last year. Those pilots ended up winning big wage increases without a strike. But if flight attendants eventually earn more, it may not mean Canadians start to pay more.
Pricing is competitively based. It's not based on, cost of fuel's gone up 15%, cost of labor gone up 10%. But if the competitor drops his price by 5%, you're going to raise your fares?
So if flying in Canada is also tied to how many or how few alternatives Canadians have, then strike or no strike, that isn't changing. Anis Haydari, CBC News, Calgary.
Prime Minister Mark Carney announced a pay increase for members of the Canadian military while visiting CFB Trenton. He says the plan will boost recruitment, revitalize retention, and bolster operational readiness. Ashley Burke reports.
We're at the country's largest airbase where the Prime Minister announced that he's moving forward with a campaign promise to try and help the military's staffing crisis. The Canadian Armed Forces is short more than 12,700 members in total, and there are about 40% of the occupations are facing critical shortages. The Prime Minister unveiled a complicated and a gradual series of pay top-ups and incentives that are expected to help the lowest-ranking members of the military the most, with a 20% pay hike.
So I would underscore that, we have not seen something, Canada's not seen something like this this millennium. It hasn't seen it since the late 1990s. So it's a generational shift, and we're proud of it.
In June, the Defense Minister said there would be a 20% pay hike, and that got a lot of military members' hopes up. They thought it meant across the board for everyone. But the way the system is rolling out is that the higher your rank, the lower the pay hike. So it's either 8%, 13%, or for the lowest rank, 20%. Now, I asked the Prime Minister about this. He defended the move, saying a number of other incentives that they are rolling out. So if you are someone, for example, that's been asked to move a lot, you're going to get paid more. If you're someone who's being asked to live away from their family, you could also see a pay increase. Or someone that's working in a field where there are critical shortages. And we spoke to the Chief of Defense Staff about that. Here's what she had to say.
Many of them are in a technical trades that many private industries also required. So signal operator, which is cyber, transmission, electronics, maritime technicians are some of the examples where we are offering bonuses to attract people to join.
The Chief of Defense Staff hopes that these changes will help in some areas, but said there is still more work to do to hit her target of full strength by 2029. Now, what was announced today will cost $2 billion a year, and that will go towards Canada's target to hit 2% of defense spending, which is the NATO target, and is part of the $9 billion that the Prime Minister already announced. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Trenton.
We're learning details tonight about a much-anticipated meeting aimed at reaching a deal to end Russia's war with Ukraine. Donald Trump says he will meet with Vladimir Putin next Friday in Alaska.
You're looking at territory that's been fought over for 3.5 years with, a lot of Russians have died, a lot of Ukrainians have died. So we're looking at that, but we're actually looking to get some back and some swapping. It's complicated.
Trump was speaking after signing a framework peace deal with the leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan. When asked if he thought a similar moment could be possible between Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky, Trump says his instincts tell him there's a shot. Israel's security cabinet has approved a plan to take control of Gaza City, a move that has sparked world leaders to urge the country to reconsider its decision. Israel's military already controls about 75% of the Gaza Strip. If the plan goes forward, it would give Israel control of about 85% of the enclave, according to a retired Israeli general. Families of hostages and opposition leaders have blasted Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, saying the plan would endanger the lives of hostages and spread the military too thin. Far-right allies in Netanyahu's coalition have been pushing for a total takeover of Gaza as part of his vow to eradicate Hamas militants. Netanyahu said Thursday Israel intends to do just that. In Canada and around the world, about 2/3 of people diagnosed with Alzheimer's are women. For years, researchers thought that's because women tend to live longer. But as Jennifer Yoon explains, scientists now say while age does play a role, there are other prominent risk factors as well.
She just kept on going. She never rested. She never really took much downtime.
Working 3 jobs, Sonia Cox refused to slow down most her life. But when Alzheimer's symptoms showed up, she deteriorated fast, says her daughter.
She forgot my dad first.
More women get diagnosed with Alzheimer's than men. For years, scientists assumed that was because women tend to live longer. Now, that understanding is changing. Researchers now think while age does play a role, so too do other risk factors.
We are really starting to discover that men and women are different in regard to the risk of dementia.
For example, the timing of key hormonal changes like menopause.
If the menopause is below age 40, we call it premature. And if it is between age 40 and 44, we call it early. And those are now being shown to be clear risk factors for cognitive decline and dementia.
But there's also so much scientists still don't know.
We're playing catch-up at this time. Your task is to say, what do you remember seeing the face?
This researcher searching for early signs of the disease through brain scans and blood samples.
We're trying to understand whether or not menopause is a window at which some females might be showing early signs of Alzheimer's disease, and whether we could capture them early so they could enter treatment and decide to alter their lifestyles to better age.
She actually had a full hysterectomy.
Looking back, Angelita now knows her mom was at greater risk for Alzheimer's because her ovaries were removed. That induces menopause and increased her risk of cognitive decline. It's led Angelita to change her choices.
I take better care of myself. I'm more aware of the hormonal challenges that I have. So when it became time for me to deal with my fibroids that I had, I chose not to have a full hysterectomy. Okay. I know you're going to make your punch.
Angelita works 2 jobs still, but she's trying to slow down and pass those habits down to her daughter. Janella Hamilton, CBC News, Toronto.
Watering the fields by hand, how one winery is taking desperate measures amid drought conditions in Ontario. When we return. Many parts of the country are baking under the hot summer sun with little rain in the forecast. In eastern Ontario, dry conditions have farmers fighting to save their crops. As Dan Takama reports, one wine grower has resorted to desperate measures.
One down, roughly 12,000 to go. Each and every grapevine at Broken Stone Winery is being watered by hand from tanks filled 10 kilometers away, then hauled by tractor between the rows.
Honestly, I'm doubting my own sanity of considering it, but I don't know what the option is.
As the sun beats down on the vineyard, staff are spending their days pumping instead of pruning. The winery's owner estimates hand watering each vine will take a week and cost at least $1,000 a day.
Well, you've got to do what you can, even if it seems nearly impossible. I have to make sure that I do everything I can to prevent loss of the crop. That's just the way it is.
Prince Edward County is sweltering under an unusually dry summer, and wine country is suffering.
It has been drier than normal by 70 to 90%. Compared to the amount of rain that the region should have had.
As the drought drags on, farmers are feeling the burn too, with stunted crops filling many fields.
It comes down to water, pure and simple, and some of the corn will not make it. It's starting to tassel now and there's no cobs.
This seventh-generation farmer says it's important to accept that you just can't control the weather.
Hey, every time I think I got it figured out, it bites me.
Staff at Broken Stone Winery have learned to be stoic about the weather too. But even with the watering, they and other wine growers have seen their leaves turn yellow and the fruit shrivel up.
We are definitely going to experience, I'd say, a 15 to 20% loss in production because some of the plants, the weaker plants, have just given up and lost all their leaves.
Beyond the financial loss for the winery is another impact too. Kipfer had his hopes up for a great harvest.
There's an emotional thing going on because this year seemed like it was going to be the perfect year.
Now he's just hoping to save what he can and waiting for the rain. Dan Takama, CBC News, Prince Edward County.
Darius Madavi is back with a look at our weather. Darius?
I want to start over in Ontario because, as we heard, serious drought situation happening in that part of the country. I do also want to note the wildfires that we have seen and likely will see pick up again at times this weekend and into early next week in Newfoundland because of the high temperatures that are coming, heat warning in place there. And then also as we head into early next week, we're going to see some high winds pick up as well. So keeping a close eye on that region, as well as in Ontario, where we have seen the fire danger climb as well, high to extreme in much of eastern Canada. We have lots of heat warnings in place, again, including in Newfoundland. And then in southern Ontario, this special weather statement as well is for high heat, just not quite meeting that threshold for an extreme heat warning. So lots of activity on the fire front across the country. I want to talk a little bit about the smoke as well, which is sitting heavy over the prairies and also traveling into eastern Canada. Here in BC, the smoke situation isn't quite as bad, but we do have a fair amount of smoke in some places. And again, that's not just surface smoke. It is up that haze up in the upper atmosphere as well. So not all of it is affecting the air quality down at the surface. But as you'll notice, for the most part, BC looking quite a lot better than other places, both because we're going to see temperatures climb, but not as much as parts of eastern Canada, and then also just because we have less fires than the prairies, which helps a lot. I will note that the BC Wildfire Service has said that Vancouver Island in particular may start to see a little bit more smoke this weekend as temperatures climb because of that Wesley Ridge fire, but it should be fairly localized. Fire danger is climbing again in southern BC. We got a bit of rain across much of BC, but those temperatures are coming back and we're entering a hot, dry stretch in the south at least. And it won't last too long. Probably will start to taper off early to mid next week, but it is here in the meantime. High winds are also expected in the northeast. They may blow high at times and in certain places in the south as well, but the northeast is the main place to watch as we look into next week. In terms of precipitation, really only looking at it up in the northwest. Unfortunately, not really going to come down to southern BC. Ridge of high pressure keeping temperatures high up here and pushing the rain up north. And in terms of those temperatures, really you can see those climbing, especially in the southern interior. There we go, 35 in Kamloops as we head into the weekend, and then early next week, things slowly start to moderate a little bit. Surface smoke is worst in the southeast. We got a little bit of rain again coming up into the northwest. Other than that, maybe just a few convective showers, maybe some dry lightning also possible in the southern interior over the next few days. And here we go, Janella. Lots of sunshine on the way here in Metro Vancouver.
All right, a beautiful weekend. Thank you so much, Darius.
Thank you.
The final battle is on for BC's best symbol. In one corner, it's the mighty Ogopogo. In the other, hanging out quite literally, a flag. We break it all down next.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC inbox. CBC Musical Nooners are the best summer lunch break. Soak up the sun and good vibes with free concerts Wednesdays at noon until August 20th. Head to cbc.ca/musicalnooners for more details. And the search for BC's best symbol is heating up. This week, it's the quarterfinal round as we hunt for the best icon to represent British Columbia. Be sure to vote at cbc.ca/bestsymbolbc.
We're closing out the quarter-final round in the search for BC's best symbol.
And the finalists in the provincial bracket bring together history with the BC flag and mystery with Ogopogo. Take a look.
The Union Jack, the setting sun, and the Pacific Ocean underneath. It may be the most well-known symbol of British Columbia, the flag. But is it the best? In the search for BC's best symbol, the flag is in the quarterfinals going against an unlikely contrast in its opponent, the Ogopogo. Never seen at all, technically, residing in the depths of Lake Okanagan, a legend for centuries. But which one represents BC the best? Something someone sees every day, or something they've never seen at all? We asked the public to find out.
Oh, I just kind of like how Ogopogo looks.
I'm more traditional. It reflects a lot of heritage, also the beautiful sunshine in particular.
I guess this one, because I think that is more suitable than Ogopogo.
You sort of have to go with the flag, you know. I'm a flag guy. I like looking at flags. I usually do like online quizzes to look at flags and stuff. So that's one of the few things about British Columbia that I'm familiar with, distinct style to it, which I like.
As a cartographer and geographer, I love flags. I love the symbolism behind flags. Both the history with the British, but also it looks like First Nations history with water and the sun rising over the water and the horizon. I wish I could see it in color, but this alone tells me a great story about it. And so, as a flag lover, I'm gonna have to go with the flag.
It's like that flag.
Now, you could say a vote for the flag is a little too literal-minded. You could also say a vote for the Ogopogo is a little too fantastical. But it just goes to show how so many different symbols in this province can come in all shapes and sizes, or perhaps not even a shape at all. Whatever the case may be, we know for sure that the winner will join the Orca, the Western Red Cedar, and the Totem Pole in the final four of the search for BC's best symbol. Justin McElroy, CBC News, Vancouver.
I will say the stats page with the information about the flag and then all question marks for Ogopogo did make me laugh out loud. That was really good.
It's great. It's super fun.
Here at CBC, we get to see some spectacular shots from our tower cameras.
But lately, we've had the pleasure of a special visitor. Yep, this spider has taken up resident on our tower cam, and this morning it was hard at work making a web that led to a beautiful sunrise silhouette.
Now, we'd love to get up there and, well, not shoo away our insect friend, but, you know, give the camera a bit of a scrub. But alas, there are some nesting seagulls. So for now, we'll be leaving all the critters, small and winged, alone.
Thanks for being with us tonight on CBC Vancouver News at 6. I will have your next local news at 11 o'clock right after the national.
Good night.
Night, everyone.